This is the AMD Radeon RX 580. It was released in 2017 and as of now it is 8 years old. But let's see if it can run one of the most demanding games out here in 2025, Microsoft Flight Simulator. We'll explore ways to squeeze the most amount of frame rates out of it. So yeah, I don't know what will happen, let's see. Alright, so up here you can see the performance stats, the FPS, 99% whatever it's called, FPS, the GPU utilization, the temperature, and also the CPU util. But as usual, it would take a few minutes to load, so let's just wait this out. Alright, so here we are in the main menu. We have loaded in after not really that long, just a few minutes. And just in the main menu alone, we are getting 24 FPS. Maybe it's because of the background rendering and stuff. Yeah, the util is already very high, the temperature is higher than usual. But anyways, let's go to the options settings and let's tune down the graphics settings. So first off, we'll start with the medium so that the game doesn't look like trash, and we'll just see how many FPS we can get. Alright, world map, and here it's quite a bit smoother, the globe motion. Yeah, we're getting 60 FPS here. Alright, good. So I'll not want to spawn at a very demanding airport like New York, which would be crazy. Let's just spawn in at Whiskey Mike Kilo because the scenery here is not really that good, so you know it will put less strain on the GPU. Flight condition, let's make everything live. Alright, fly. Alright, that loading was quick. Alright, ready to fly. Okay, has frozen a bit, but that's fine. It's as expected. Alright, so here we are in the PMDG 737, and this does look good. As you can see, we are getting playable FPS 31. That's actually quite unexpected. But if you go to the outside view, we get a bit lower at 20 FPS, which I guess is still playable. But yeah, let's try and take off here. I forgot to change it to a default aircraft, so maybe this PMDG high fidelity add-on will have a tank of the on the FPS. But anyways, let's release the parking brake and toga. Oh, parking brake. So, okay, sorry about that. Yeah, release it, please. There we go. Alright, let's turn on the landing lights and also turn off. Why is nothing turned on? What is this game? Strobe light. Alright, let's take off. We need yeah, there we go, take off power. That's a bit too high, over 100%. Okay, 80 knots, high speed regime, 100. Display is a bit wavy, like a sail ship. Alright, V1, rotate, let's go. I think we have a chase strike. Alright, positive rate, gear up. Alright, trim. Yeah, there we go. Alright, so that takeoff wasn't horrible. As you can see, it's around 20 to 30 FPS. And in the cockpit, it's slightly better at above 30 FPS, around 31, 32. But this is nighttime overall, so maybe there's a lot of lights that has to be rendered in. Let's change up the time quickly. Time maybe in the middle of the day. And let's turn off all lights in the plane so that it doesn't render anything. Okay, it's still kind of the same. 29, 30 FPS. The outside view is still the same, so yeah, maybe the lights, a lot of airport lights doesn't really have an impact on the FPS. Alright, that's good. Right, let's try and return. Yeah, let's try to land back at Kuala Lumpur. Dang, alright. Hold on. Can we slow down? Why are we overspeeding so much? Go. Alright, gear down. We need more flaps. I don't care if we overspeed the flaps. We just need to land this plane. Where's the runway anyways? Oh, it's that purple line, right? Alright. Come on, descend and turn. Why is it so hot? Oh no. What has happened? Alright, there we go, that's runway there. Let's see if we can butter this. Alright, pull up. Yeah, alright. 18 FPS. Wow, that's crazy. Alright, hold on. Maybe it's got something to do with the G-Sync, vertical sync, something. I've turned this off. Let's try and turn this on. Maybe set this to 50% first so that it doesn't overstress and everything just instantly dies, including my recording. Yeah, maybe we're getting better. 20. Yeah, it's definitely a bit smoother, but not really that noticeable. Yeah, maybe it doesn't have an effect. Let's go to 100%. Monitor refresh rate. Kind of the same. Alright, that was a disappointment. Why are you stalling? Trim the plane, man. Come on. Yeah. No, no, we're gonna crash into the trees. No. Yo, what is this piloting? Ryanair plane that has somehow ended up in Malaysia crashed into the trees, killing all 100 people on board. Uh, 3, 2, 1. Oh my goodness, that was crazy. Okay, typical Ryanair landing. Let's reverse throttle this and brake. Alright, so yeah, that didn't really turn out great. You know, the landing was actually horrible. Yeah, you know what? I blame that partly on the FPS. Sorry. Alright, so that was the test with the PMDG 737. Let's test this out with a default Let's test it out with a default airplane, the A320. Alright, where is it? Yeah, it's this one, right? Yeah, the default one. Perf, yeah, Perf International. I don't know, maybe it's super detailed. It's got like 100 3D buildings that will just kill the GPU instantly, but who cares? Let's try this anyway. By the way, why is short look trademark? Is it like a brand copyright thing or something? Alright, here we are at Perth in the default aircraft. We're getting 31 FPS, kind of the same. And here is the outside view. It's slightly better, like 30 FPS still. Yeah, so high fidelity aircraft like PMDG does have an impact on your FPS. Maybe not yours, just mine. Alright, now so we've got the standard benchmarking. We've got around 30 FPS, not higher than that, but we did get 18 FPS in some high quality aircraft. The PMDG 777, no, stop, the 737. Okay, now let's tune down the settings insanely high so that we can squeeze the most amount of FPS out of this thing. So first off, let's go to Windows settings and turn down the refresh rate so that the GPU doesn't have to stress that much and maybe it can perform better, who knows. So 120 Hz to 50 Hz, that's crazy. Okay, 50 Hz it is. Yo, it's so slow and sluggish. Alright, now it's set to 50 Hz. Let's tune down the resolution. So let's go 1280 by 720. Everything's so much more pixelated. Right, rendering resolution is 1920 by 1080, which we obviously don't want that, so let's increase that insanely high. Okay, maybe to our native resolution, which is 1280. Let's just get it to that. There we go. And then let's go with FSR. I think we have to use DirectX 12. Okay, you know what? Yeah, let's just go with it. Apply. And let's restart Flight Simulator. Alright, see you again later after we've restarted, but we're still not finished setting up, so let's tune down a bit more. So we have set it to DirectX 12. Let's see if we finally have FSR. Yeah, there we go, AMD FSR 2. So it's Fidelity FX Super Resolution. Let's set it to Ultra Performance. Yeah, it will give the highest performance gain while maintaining an image quality representative of native rendering. Everything else, let's set it to the lowest settings. Alright, so I think that's basically all. Let's apply and save. And as you can see, insanely high. We're getting 95 FPS, 100 FPS in the main menu compared to the 30 FPS we were getting before. And in the world map, we're getting 140. Yo, Insane. Alright, so now let's go to another airport. Maybe Dubai this time. Let's see if how we perform. So here we are in this game, which really doesn't look like MSFS. What is this horrible quality? You can't even read the screen. Going outside. And outside we were still getting 50 FPS, which is honestly good for the RX 580, an 8-year-old GPU. In the cockpit, it's a bit lower at 47, 41, but it's still playable. It's very much more playable than our current one. So here is New York, very demanding airport. There's lots of stuff to render, and yeah, probably the PC will die. Set as arrival, and yep, there we go. 30 FPS, 21. Yeah, it's insanely low, but it still looks fine. We can still kind of play it. Live weather, let's turn on live weather. Yeah, it's clear now. Yeah, 41, 42. I thought it would be worse than this, but it's still kind of fine apparently. So that's great news. What's this? Wait, it isn't down. Well, that's crazy. But yeah, you can see some artifacts here. They are blinking or kind of flipping around, and we can see trees getting loaded and shadows loading. Let's try and land this properly this time. Oh no 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 no. Dang, we missed the touchdown zone. Yeah, that's great. So that was our test on the 8-year-old GPU in a modern game, Microsoft Flight Simulator. So the conclusion is, it's playable, just very low, and if you want to actually get somewhat high or squeeze the most FPS out of it, you just have to tune down the settings quite a bit, which if you think about it, maybe isn't worth doing. So just stick with the medium or high settings and just suffer with the low FPS. So yep, that's all for today. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you next time.